Hello, thank you for joining me and coming back to the channel. Now, as you know, I'm very much over the last 6 months or so, or 10 months now, I can't believe it, where I've been talking about this stuff and the audience has grown and come with me, and you clearly seem to be on the same ballpark as me, that we've got to take back control ourselves, our own responsibility. We've got to look inwards rather than outwards and stand alone. And one particular person who I've had on the show a long time ago, now it's a time that I had him back, was David Adleman, the People's Lawyer. You may be aware that he's written this remarkable book here, School, No Place for Children. So get your kids out of school immediately. There's a lot of worrying things going on in there. David joins me now, and there's an amazing event coming up, the Great Somerset Gathering. David, welcome back to the channel.
Hi, Richard. Lovely to be here. Pleasure to be in your company again on this journey towards light and truth, as they say.
Absolutely, and we should. I mean, it's been ages since I've had you on the channel, so we should sort of revisit some of the stuff we spoke to before. However, today we're just really sort of focusing on one particular event. And for those people who might only just watch the first few minutes of things, wait to the end, because David's got something rather important to say about some things that are coming up. So, David, there's this event, The Power of Knowing and Applying Natural Law. Let me just put the thing on the screen here. Here we go, which is happening this week. Saturday the 9th of September, 9:30 to 5:30 at the Assembly Rooms in High Street in Glastonbury. You can see the tour up there. So what's that about then? What's this event about, David?
Well, these speakers, of whom I'm one, are basically there to give people inspiration and motivation to reach inside of themselves and see what they find in terms of their knowing and their power, and to stop looking outside of themselves for authority. In the Bible, and I'm not a Bible basher, it's Hosea chapter 4 verse, no, it's the other way around. Chapter 4 verse 6 says, "My children shall perish for lack of knowledge." And just to reiterate, I don't have a specific allegiance to the Bible, but there's some amazing things in it that give us indicators of what we're about to undergo in the next few years and what we've already been undergoing. So in other words, it's lack of knowledge, it's lack of knowing who we are and how we can activate our power through that knowing. It's lack of knowledge that is seeing people do strange, insane things leading to very, very bad outcomes. And I'm choosing my words carefully because I know you've just had a strike. Yes. So worst case scenario, I'll use mime gestures and strange coded language. But I think everybody knows what I mean. It's just a lack of reliable, accurate information that is making people do and think very strange things.
And we have been groomed really over the years to think in a certain pattern, and the whole thinking for yourself, working it out, living off your wits these days is something people no longer do, because they start to act like children, and they allow authority to take them by the hand and lead them in one direction, and yet we shouldn't really, we should be able to think for ourselves and work it out.
Well, you're allowing me to get onto my soapbox now, really, which I appreciate. My hobby horse. Schooling takes young grown-ups of 5, 6, or 7 and turns them into teenage infants. Yeah. I'll be very brief because I don't want to hijack this little session that we're doing. But yes, and schooling. Yes, I am an author of that book, so I have a vested interest in the truth of what I'm saying. But the point is that really we have to take on board that all education ultimately is self-education, and that's one of the things that some, if not all, of the speakers will stress on Saturday. that we need to be our own lawyers, our own health practitioners, our own moral compasses, because that's how we are built. We are, awfully and fearfully built. Again, that's an ancient quote. We are amazing, but when you spend 10 to 15 years in a classroom, you come away with the feeling that you're unworthy, you have no value except the value ascribed to you by the system. And it's really, it's just sad to even think about it, to be quite honest. And our job now, the job of the beacons like yourself, Richard, is to make sure that we're not doing this for ourselves, is to make sure that future generations do not endure what we had to endure, and we only endured because we couldn't see any alternatives. In other words, we have to remind them of how much wrong was done to us, and motivate them to avoid that pitfall and provide alternative environments. So the talks on Saturday will pave the way, will shine a light on how, for example, in the realm of law, so switching from education to law, in the realm of law, we are under a post-hypnotic trigger to think that whenever we hear the word law or we are the law, we think of police, agents, people in uniform, judges, barristers, solicitors, politicians, legislation. That's not law. And Saturday will be a very stark reminder to those who attend, and it will be streamed as well. It will be a very stark reminder that although you may feel, having been to school, that you are not worthy and that you cannot possibly be the law because you spent 10 to 15 years enduring or suffering at the hands of the law, because the law was the teacher back in the day, in your day. So you are the law. And a couple of years ago, there was a rally in Birmingham, and David Icke was the chief guest, and I was one of the sideshows, and strangely, they had me on after David. So David got 3,000 or 4,000 people all whipped up and suggesting that the only way forward is non-compliance, just say no. Fantastic message, loved it. But then there was about 50 police officers in attendance, and I was thinking, well, law of averages suggests that they're going to arrest about a dozen people, 50 of them. It takes about, 10 to 1. They pick on one, 10 of them pick on one. So that sounds like an unhappy outcome because, this is a good rally. It was a peaceful rally, as they all are. So what I did was after David had gone on, I got people to go quiet and meditate for 30 seconds on who they think they actually are.
Right.
And I started whispering after 30 seconds, you are the law. We are the law. I am the law, or what, I can't remember my precise wording.
Sure.
But I was in effect deprogramming them because they think that they're a protester or a rallier and that the law is in a uniform standing by waiting to arrest them, and that's not how it is. We are the law, and when we remain peaceful and harmless, we remain the law, because the law operates through our conscience, through our heart. True natural law operates through the heart. And what is happening now, mainly due to the schooling system, but not exclusively the schooling system, to be fair, it's a kind of a cultural trope, is that we are producing generation after generation of non-empathic, narcissistic, heartless people. And they are the cabal. So the cabal is just a few thousand people, but the real cabal is your neighbor or your family member or friend who has lost all touch with their own humanity and is operating a script on a post-hypnotic basis. So this is what people like Chad, who used to be, he's one of the speakers, a financial city stockbroker and law lecturer, Suk, who is an amazing a man of immense insight, and it's absolute pleasure to listen to them both. Carly will undo the banking system and tell you that you are your own value. And then Stephen from English Counties Assembly will remind us that there is another jurisdiction that we need to step into, and that is the land and soil jurisdiction. And there is a procedure that's been initiated by a common law judge or a natural law judge, Anna von Reitz, who's immensely knowledgeable. She's got this system going in America. They've got 5,000 people who have activated it, and there is a link to prosperity. I can't say any more because I don't think I'm supposed to, but basically that there is a route that going through your heart onto land and soil will give access to natural prosperity. And I can't say any more than that. I'll leave it to Stephen to reveal more because it's his baby, as it were. I am working with Stephen. We are helping him to perfect the documentation. And who else? Oh, there's me. And I will be talking about, my subject for the day is authenticity. So how I remained authentic during the last, quote, pandemic 1.0, close quotes. And that hopefully will inspire people. And I'm segueing neatly now, Richard, into the possible pandemic 2.0, lockdown 2.0, which if it happens, and it does look as though it's inevitable, and it is referred to in the vernacular as the storm, how to operate, how to make sure that the storm doesn't blow you over completely, is how to weather the storm. And some of us have had memes. I haven't had a chance to send you this meme, Richard, but it's an attorney, quite well known in the movement, an attorney in America talking about how Marburg, let me water this down just so that you don't get a strike. How
Thank
something
you. I
nasty.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Something nasty is being taken, about to be taken at schools, and has been taken by certain people who didn't know who they were. And it's going to have some very bad outcomes. Those bad outcomes will be televised, and it will make people think that we're at the end of the world and that we can infect each other with something that can kill each other. What we're doing is planning an event to counter this narrative. And the working title is, now, let me just think. Okay, no, all right, I'll water that down. The working title suggests that the contagion narrative is not all it is cracked up to be. Because there are still people in the freedom movement who say, I'm a bit on the fence about contagion and terrain theory. And our powerful message, because we hope to have some renowned international doctors, scientists and speakers at this event, maybe end of November, early December. Our powerful message is get off the fence as soon as possible, because the fence is about to be ripped down by this pandemic 2.0 and lockdown 2.0. Now, I really, really do hope that the attorney is wrong, and I really do hope that therefore vicariously I am wrong. And if we're wrong, what do we lose? We lose a bit of credibility and a bit of face. So what? So what? But if we're right, then we really need to be very, really start to dig deep into our resources, both internal and our community, and prepare for something quite remarkable. Because the first version of this lockdown was only a test. It was just a test of IQ and common sense. But this one will be a different animal completely, and it will scare even people who know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Well,
no, I don't want to alienate us from your viewers or scare them, but I do want to help them prepare for the worst. There's a lot of positive thinkers out there who say things like, oh no, don't focus on them and get negative, you're just going to bring it in. Well, I'm afraid to say that it's inevitable, and that's the bad news. But the good news is that it's our response to it that will save the day.
Yes. Do you have any concept of timeline?
All I can say, I don't wish to sound glib, and I have to be honest, I don't have direct intel. I'm only going on hearsay, but I would say that it is soon. The time scale, I would say it's relevant. I think that we have the pandemic treaty, that the WHO is signing, which comes into force, I think, in the spring of 2024. The international health regulations come into force. The amendments come into force in December. So I think we're looking at somewhere between December of 2023 and the spring or late spring of 2024 is my hunch.
So the depths of winter.
I would say that this is going to be a depths of winter, early spring issue, yes. So I think we're okay for September and October and maybe even November. But what do I know? All I'm saying is that whatever it is and whenever it comes, it's going to scare almost everybody, except those who have a deep-seated knowing, and this is what Saturday is going to be about, partly anyway, a deep-seated knowing of who they are and how life works, and how health works, and how law works. Some may think that, you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves and getting above ourselves, but really we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And we've got to stop waiting for the so-called saviors, whether it's the Christ savior or or any other savior. If that happens, that's what you could call a Brucey bonus. You know, but we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we need to stand up and be counted.
Definitely. Right. Well, there we go. That's curious. So we have this event. Let me put it one more time on the screen so people can see. Here we go. The power of knowing and applying natural law, just as David has described. Natural law as opposed to acts and statutes and legislation, which is a completely different thing. On the 9th of September, which is this Saturday in Glastonbury. And I will put the link where you can get access to buying the tickets, etc., in the description. So do that. And
can I just add something?
Of course,
Richard,
yeah, please.
Excuse the interruption. Can I just add something? Because I'll get throttled if I don't mention this. There is a discount available. There's a Richard Vobes discount available. So if you come to the event via Richard, then you get a 25% discount. And I think, Richard, you have the code. Do you have the code?
I do, yeah. I have the code, which I shall also put in the description.
And the organizer, Eli's, has me, I think, to remind people that if you're already booked in, because we do want numbers, this is not about funding and finance. If we make a loss, so what? This is too important. People are encouraged to bring, those who have already booked in and paid, bring a friend for free.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, maybe even two friends. It doesn't, you know, we're not penny counting, penny pinching. We just need as many people to hear these messages live and in person, because it's more powerful and it has more credibility. Because you can see an amazing speaker on Zoom, and you're one of them, Richard, obviously. But if you see them live, there's an extra power and an extra level of credibility.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And you see there, I mean, I'm finding that you do this all the time. You're out there talking to people, and people can come up and actually poke you and go, oh yeah. And they can, you know, they get a sense of you. You get that idea that you're not just somebody who's on, you know, trying to make a fast buck in the conspiracy world, but you're actually doing you're walking the talk and everything. And they can ask you afterwards private questions and things like that, which is, I think, so valuable.
Well,
David.
If I can just add that I've very rarely, thankfully, but in my live on location talks, the odd person has challenged me with reference to my course, my online course that I do charge for. And they said, why don't you do this for free? There's so many lawful operatives operating for free. And I say, well, do you work for free? Does your full-time job, is it voluntary? Are you a charity? You know, talks, most of the things that people like me do are for free, donation-based only. But we have fixed expenses. So, you know, there are certain things that we do have to charge for. Now, the organizer for Saturday has got the venue expenses, travel expenses, hotel expenses. So, you know, there is, until further notice, certain facts of life have to be faced. That's all.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Brilliant. David, thank you so much for coming on the show. Do check out the description. Of course, I'm plugging, you haven't plugged it, but I'm plugging your book, Why Not? I'll put a link to your site as well, because if your kids are at school, there are things in here you might want to know about. My partner, Julia, has taken her kids out of school. My kids are out of school because they're in their late 20s and 30s, so it would be absurd if they were in school, unless they were teachers, of course. David, thank you so much for coming on, and it would be great to have you back at some point after all of this, in a month or so, and do a different type. Well, it wouldn't be that different, to be honest, because I know what we talk about. No, exactly.
Well, we'll see how things are panning out, Richard, and we can respond accordingly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back with more monologues and interviews, so do stay tuned. But until then, from David and I, thanks for watching and goodbye.